Hello, good morning, good evening, good night, wherever you're joining us. We're the Employees Retirement System of Texas, also known as ERS. And you're hearing me, Jorge, who is an editor with the Benefits Communications team of ERS and also a benefits educator. So you'll get to hear my voice more. You'll get to maybe meet me in person more throughout Texas doing presentations such as the one you're listening to today. But you also get to hear or see my other two colleagues who are benefits educators. Brene, hello.
Hi.
Yeah, so you'll get to hear Brene today as well, present some awesome topics. And also Jennifer.
Thank you, Jorge. I'm so
Yay!
excited.
Well, wonderful. Thank you for joining us. ERS manages the amazing benefits that state agency employees get, and then many higher education institutions. Now, this is going to provide you information on what's called the Texas Employees Group Benefits Program. And we love some acronyms, so you'll probably hear GBP for short. But yes, we're going to review the state of Texas retirement benefits as well. So, talking about topics, we're going to talk about the state employee benefits package. And also, because there's so much, we want to give you some resources outside of today's presentation, such as a booklet or a digital version, which is called the New Employee Benefits Guide. And if you want to love acronyms like us, we'll call it an NEBG for short. But we have one for higher education institution employees and one for state agency employees. And as you'll see on your screen, we have an example of each. So we may reference some pages that way you can, do some homework and take a look at more detailed writing of what we're discussing today. So on top of that state employee benefits package, we'll also touch on that Texas Employees Group Benefits Program. And I'll test you what's the acronym GBP. So you'll understand your benefits options, what's available to you for working for the state. We'll touch on that ERS retirement plan if you are eligible to receive ERS retirement benefits. We'll touch on Texas Saver. What is that? So 401k, 457 plans, and then some other great resources on top of that NEBG and today's presentation. So again, a lot to cover today, but thank you for joining. Knowledge is power. So we want to make sure that you know the great benefits that you have access to now that you're working for the state. So let's start off talking about that state employee benefits package. So a little background on me, I worked for a state agency for, I think like 8 years. And then I joined ERS and I really got to dive into all the benefits that you'll get to learn more about today. And I was like, wow, I did not know all of this information. So that's why we're so happy that you're joining us and that you get to learn that there's a lot more than working what maybe someone calls an 8 to 5. No, the state has a lot that they're offering us. So in this package, it's made up way more than just what's a payroll, your paycheck. As you'll see on your screen, in fiscal year 2024, the average state employee total compensation was a little or almost about $92,000. So to make up that package or that amount, it includes health insurance, pensions, which aren't that common. So that's really a big highlight that also motivated me to work for the state. We'll also refer to pensions as annuities, vacation, holidays, and sick leave. Many of us are earning those hours each month that we work or day that we're working. And then other things like payroll expenses, longevity pay, so all of these components form the state employee benefits package. So as you'll see, the state's contributing a lot to our current life and our future if we decide to retire with the state. But all right, I'm going to hand it over to one of my colleagues to just go over a little more in that grouped benefits program or GBP options.
All right. Thank you, Jorge. Yeah, fantastic information. As he stated, you get a lot of great benefits with working for the state of Texas. So let's talk about a couple of those benefits. Under the GBP, like you said, there are a lot of acronyms. So you'll hear us say GBP throughout the entire presentation. When you are hired as a full-time employee, you are automatically enrolled in the Health Select of Texas, which is the current health insurance plan, which is administered by Blue Cross and Blue Shield of Texas. And that also does come with your prescription drug coverage and a $5,000 basic term life insurance policy. Now, you can also add on optional benefits, either for you or for you and your eligible dependents, which would include like the dental, the vision, optional term life insurance just for yourself, or the dependent term life insurance for those dependents that you have. And then you also have like voluntary accidental death and dismemberment, short term, long term disability benefits, and then also those tax advantage flexible spending accounts. So these are just some highlights of the benefits. We will dive into each of those individually throughout the presentation. Now, when you are thinking about what benefit options you have available, it's important to also be aware of certain deadlines and dates on when you need to enroll into those benefits. So first, we'll talk about those optional add-on benefits. Again, like your dental, your vision, your life insurance, those are considered optional add-on benefits. It's very important that within your first 30 days of hire, which does not include that hire date, that you make changes to your insurance benefits, to those optional benefits. That goes into you enrolling in health insurance. Also, if you're wanting to elect short term and long term disability, doing that without any type of like evidence of insurability, which we'll talk a little bit later on in the presentation. And then also enrolling into additional life insurance. If you're wanting to do that now, you have that opportunity to do so. And then also adding or dropping any eligible dependents onto your insurance. This would be your opportunity to do so as well. Now, if you are enrolling any eligible dependent children in any coverage, you do have to complete what's called a dependent child certification. And we'll talk about that on the next slide. And then remember, full-time employees, you are automatically enrolled in that Health Selective Texas You Only coverage. We don't automatically enroll part-time employees because the state only covers 50% of that health insurance premium for you. So you would have to take action to enroll into that if you are a part-time employee with the state of Texas. Now, if you are coming in and you've never worked or you've never been covered or you're not currently covered under the GBP or the group benefits program at the time of your hire, it's very important that you know that you do have a 60-day waiting period before that health insurance benefit does kick in. Okay. And then also because of that 60-day waiting period, if you do choose to enroll into the TexFlex benefit, you would also have a waiting period for that as well. Okay, so you just want to keep that in mind. And with you enrolling in any type of health insurance with the state of Texas, you do have to certify your tobacco user status. If you are enrolling in the plan and if you do also have dependents, they must also certify their tobacco user status. You only have to certify that once unless your tobacco user status changes. Now, my great colleague Jennifer, she is going to go into who can be covered as a dependent under your benefits with the state.
Thanks, Brene. Yeah, it's a really common question that we get when we're doing presentations. Who can I enroll in my benefits? They do have to be an eligible dependent, so a spouse or eligible children. There's a whole list of eligible dependents that you can look at and find to read about that in the new employee benefits guide. But you can enroll eligible dependents in the following if you're enrolled in them yourself. So health insurance, one of our 2 dental insurance plans, state of Texas vision, dependent term life insurance, and voluntary accidental death and dismemberment insurance, youth plus family. So there's a list of eligible dependents. You have to be enrolled in the plan to enroll your dependents. But Renee mentioned this, very important steps that you have to complete. So if you're enrolling a dependent child in any coverage, whether that's health insurance or other optional coverages, you'll need to complete the dependent child certification. That's something that you can do online when you're enrolling or talk to your HR department. Now, another very important step, if you're enrolling anyone in your health insurance, you have to complete the dependent eligibility verification process. So that is something that we work with a company called Alight Solutions, and we do this additional verification to make sure that everyone that's enrolled in the health insurance is actually eligible. So it's very important that once you sign up for health insurance, you look out for the letter that will come from Alight Solutions and make sure you follow all of the steps that it says to verify that they are eligible. So that letter is going to have the steps of the verification process. It'll have the names of everyone that needs to be verified. It'll tell you the types of documents that you need to provide. So if it's a marriage certificate, a birth certificate, it's also really importantly, it's going to have a due date. So just make sure that you don't miss that due date, because if you don't provide that documentation by the due date, your dependents will be dropped from all coverage. So if they're found ineligible, we're going to remove them from all GBP coverage, and you have to submit that by that due date to keep them enrolled. So it's very important to look out for that. A common question that we get is if you've already done this, if they're already enrolled, let's say you switch agencies, do you have to do this again? You don't, but if you're a new employee, just make sure that you don't miss that deadline and that you get that done. More information can be found on page 5 of the NEBG for that. Okay, so for current employees, how can you make changes to your benefits? So if you're beyond the first 30 or 60 days of your hire, it's really important to understand that due to IRS guidelines, you're limited in when you can make changes. So the first option that you have or opportunity to make changes throughout the year is going to be during summer enrollment. Summer enrollment is usually held in June or July, and those changes that you make will be effective September 1st. Now, if it's not summer enrollment, the other option that you have is 30 days after a qualifying life event, another acronym, I can't even say the word acronym, QLE, that's a qualifying life event. That's most common examples of QLEs are going to be a marriage, divorce, birth or adoption, employment status change, or a significant change in cost or coverage for a non-GBP health or vision, daycare, cost of daycare, that's a really common one. Or if you take a leave of absence or return from leave. There's a whole list also of QLEs, but these are common ones. You have 30 days after the QLE, not including that date, to enroll or make changes to your benefits. So if you miss that time frame, those 30 days, then you'll have to wait until the next summer enrollment to make changes. Now, a really common question we get is, do you have to make changes to your Texas Saver account at that time? And no, you can make changes at any time throughout the year to your Texas Saver account. Also, you can update your beneficiaries through ERS, retirement, and life insurance at any time throughout the year. So that's very important to update those, and you don't have to wait for summer enrollment or qualifying life event to update those. Okay, so when does your health coverage begin? So if you're a new employee, your health insurance will begin the first of the month following the 60th day of employment. That's your 60-day waiting period that you have. Now, if your 60th day begins or falls on the first of the month, then it will begin that day. Let me give you an example because that confuses some people sometimes. So if you were hired on January 13th, your 60th day of employment is going to fall mid-March. Your health coverage effective date will be April 1st. Now, if you were hired on January 2nd, your 60th day of employment is going to fall on March 1st, so your health coverage effective date will be March 1st. Now, if you enroll in any optional add-on benefits on your first day of employment, then that coverage will begin right away. If you make any changes or you enroll within 31 days of your hire date, that coverage begins the first of the following month. Now, let's talk about those health insurance options a little more. Jorge is going to talk about that.
Thank you so much. Is everyone listening, learning, getting some great information? Because we're learning about the who, the when, and so now the what, right? What exactly do I have access to? What does this health insurance even include? So yeah, let's touch on part of that compensation package that I went over in the beginning. Another highlight that was highlighted for me as a benefit when I joined working for the state, because you'll learn more about me. My dad worked for the state for so long, and he said, you have to work. I mean, they cover what you would have to pay for insurance while you're working for the state, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, no. And then I started working for a private sector, and I realized how expensive health insurance is. And yeah, so now that I work for the state, since I've been working, full-time employees get that 100% coverage for their health insurance, and then half of that for their dependents. Part-time employees also get some coverage as well. And as retirees with the state of Texas, the state continues to help you out depending on your years and months of service. And as we'll go over right now, there's some really great benefits by having the state health insurance. So Health Select of Texas is something that's automatically, that most full-time employees are automatically enrolled in. It's a what we call a point of service plan. So pretty much what it sounds like. Where you get your service depends on what you'll have to pay. Now, something great that we like to highlight is always what to do to save money, to better secure your future financially as well. So by having Health Select of Texas, it's you and your dependents while living in Texas can get this coverage and almost anywhere, because when we say where you get the service depends if you get in-network services or out-of-network services. And I know that's maybe more common for people. So while it's in-network, you're going to save the most money. And if you see or get services out of network, expect that you might have to pay way more than what you could have saved by going with an in-network provider. So as you see here on your screen, we listed some features of this plan. So with the Health Select of Texas, which is administered by Blue Cross and Blue Shield of Texas, a primary care provider or PCP is required. Now, a common question I get is like, well, why do I need to get that? Well, you get to create this bond with someone that's going to guide you through your health journey, really get to know you and guide you to proper treatment. So consider them a bestie that's really looking out for you. Also, you would need referrals required for some specialty physicians. Now, this wouldn't include things like urgent care, dermatologists, OBGYN care. There's a good list. So just know that it's only for specific specialty physicians, but that's something that a primary care provider would really guide you to seek if needed. Now, there would be no deductible for any in-network medical services. Now, deductible is something that you would have to pay out of pocket first before the plan starts paying. So that's a really big highlight. No deductible for in-network medical services. Now, here's that word again, in-network, because as long as it's a network, just know you're saving the most money. Now, if you see in-network preventative care services, so for example, an annual exam, right, or immunizations, these are covered at 100%. I love that. With the plan I'm going over right now and the one I'll go over next, prescription drug benefits are included in both. You know, prescriptions are really expensive too, so I'm really happy that this is part of the plan. And again, just as a reminder, you pay less for any in-network providers. And if you go on the Health Select of Texas website, which any of our, and we'll touch on this at the end, but we have plan websites on our main ERS website, and you can actually look up doctors, providers in your area. And then I'll go over a resource here shortly on how you can compare prices for certain procedures or services. But go ahead and look at page 10 of your new employee benefits guide, and I'm sure it's going to give you way more details than what I'm providing. But you might be like, okay, Jorge, I don't want to do a primary care provider. I don't want to do this whole referral process. I just want to see someone, whoever, whenever. Okay, so ERS worked to create the Consumer Directed Health Select Plan, which we also refer to as the High Deductible Health Plan. Now, a little refresher, deductible is what you have to pay first before the plan starts paying. So let's dissect that a little bit more. By having this plan, you do not have to have a primary care physician, so you do not have to get referrals. So basically, as long as they're in network as well, you're going to save the most money in a way. But of course, if it's out of network, it's going to be way more. So if you see an in-network provider, you would have to meet a $2,100 deductible for individuals or meet a $4,200 deductible for family coverage. So once you meet that, depending which one you fall under, that's when the plan would start paying. Now, co-insurance after the deductible is met will be required, which is at 20%. And then also, like the last plan I just went over, any in-network preventative care services are covered at 100%. So you wouldn't have to meet that deductible as long as it's considered in-network preventative care. Those prescription drug benefits are also included. And then, as I mentioned, you pay less for any in-network providers. But another thing that we highlight with this plan is that you get access to a health savings account or an HSA. So this is what we also consider a triple tax benefit. So there's no taxes on any on any deposits. Now, of course, the IRS, everything is regulated under them. So as long as it's up to that annual limit that they set, you can get withdrawals for qualified health costs. And then that account, after a certain amount, can start having earnings. And then you can actually invest those earnings. So it's a really, really cool thing that you're doing on top of getting that great health coverage. In this account, not only can you make your own contributions, but the state's going to do a monthly contribution. So it's a really great thing as well, depending on if you're an individual or have a family account. And then you can use those funds for out-of-pocket health costs, dental, vision costs. If you have to pay anything, hey, use that health savings account. And then the great thing as well is that the account is yours to keep. Sometimes people refer to these types of accounts as use it or lose it. No, this one is yours for as long as you not only work for the state, but beyond that. So if you have a private sector job or just as a retiree, you can keep this account as long as you want. But go ahead and take a look at pages 11 and 12 in your new employee benefits guide. And while you're there, I also suggest you look at page 16. So a common question we also get is, which one should I go with, right? So we created these health plan comparison charts. So on this screen, or if you look in your NEBG, you'll see these charts, and it really dissects what you could expect to look at if you maybe know that you're going to get a certain service or procedure, and it really lets you know which plan and how much a plan would pay. More general information, but at least it prepares you in case you want to know, hey, I know I have this coming up next year. Which one would benefit me more? Yes, a lot of great things with health coverage. And with health coverage, it's also some great benefits that I'll have my colleague go over next. That's also included if you have one of our plans.
Yeah, thanks, Jorge. So yes, with the health insurance options, you have great benefits attached to that. And some of the things that we do like to highlight are some of the wellness benefits that you get with the plan. So this is available to you and also to your eligible dependents. If you are covered under the plan, you do not pay anything for any of these. So the first two that we're going to talk about are your virtual visits, and that's going to be through Doctor On Demand and MD Live. You do have the option of seeing this in any of the plans that you have. Just know that if you are under that consumer directed health select plan, you have to meet that annual deductible before those virtual visits are covered. And then you are subject to like the co-insurance once that deductible has been met. And then you also have Hello Heart, which also helps you focus on your cardiovascular system, which aims to help you prevent or decrease the development or advancement of your heart disease and other cardiovascular conditions. Try saying that fast 3 times. You can scan that QR code on the screen. You can actually scan all of the codes on the screen, and it'll just link you to the web pages on Blue Cross and Blue Shield's website where you can get more information. And then you also have Hinge Health. This is an app-based exercise therapy program. It is led by physical therapists, and it helps to address any joint, bone, and muscle pain. You kind of get really great. I've heard a lot of great things about that Hinge Health benefit. And then you also have Learn to Live, which is an online coach supported program that kind of helps you with like your mental health. So that could include depression, stress, anxiety, and even substance abuse. So definitely take a look at that. You do also have Omada. This is a new program that was recently introduced. This is really aimed for those that have diabetes. It is a digital program that delivers personalized health coaching and education to help participants manage their diabetes. You do get expert support from a dedicated care team, and you also get receive a smart device to help you monitor your progress, and then it helps you to make small lasting changes at your own pace, of course, so that you can live a healthier lifestyle, have more energy, and feel better. So please take advantage of all of these free health benefits that you have that are included into your health insurance plan. Scan the QR codes to get more information about those plans that are available to you. Now, we do understand that there are some individuals that may be coming into the ERS benefits, and either you are covered under like your parents' insurance or you're covered under your spouse's insurance, or maybe you served in the military. So it's potentially that you don't even need the ERS's insurance benefits. So we always suggest that you elect what's called the health insurance opt-out credit. So what this does is that it waives your health insurance coverage with the state of Texas, and then it also is waiving that prescription drug coverage and that basic term life insurance. But in exchange for that, what you will receive is a credit of up to $60 as long as you're full time working, and then $30 if you're a part time employee that you can apply towards like your dental, your vision, and your accidental death and insurance premium that you would pay. But just know if you don't use that full 60 or $30 credit, that portion cannot be refunded to you. So if you do have comparable health insurance outside of the state of Texas, definitely look into going with that health insurance opt-out credit. If you are wanting to know more information about that opt-out credit, you can review page 13 of that NEBG. Now let's take a look at those optional benefits. I'll have my colleague Jennifer go over that information.
Thanks, Brene. So the first option we're going to look at is our dental. Yes. We have two different options for you for dental. So we have State of Texas Dental Choice Plan, and we also have Delta Care USA. And the difference is really going to be, first of all, if you're looking at the premiums, you'll notice a difference in the premium. The first option, State of Texas Dental Choice Plan, does have a higher per month premium, but this gives you a lot more options. So with this plan, you can see any dentist that you want to see, but you'll save money if you see an in-network dentist. You can see we have two different networks, Delta Dental PPO and Delta Premier. But if you see one of the dentists that's in-network, it's going to save you money. Now, some people just want to see a very specific dentist, and you can do that. There is out-of-network coverage, but it will have an higher out-of-pocket cost. Now, with Delta Care USA, that is a DHMO. So you have to have a primary care dentist assigned, and you have to see the dentist that's in the network to have services covered. So normally people ask, which should I choose? I always recommend going onto the dental website and finding a provider. In some areas, there's less choices, and that might help you make that decision. Now, the next option we'll talk about is our vision insurance. That's State of Texas Vision. And this will give you a lower cost for comprehensive eye exams. Now, if you have Health Selective Texas, you can use your health insurance to get an eye exam. There's a $40 copay. But if you have State of Texas Vision, that comprehensive eye exam is going to be $15 instead. It's going to have a $15 copay. The biggest benefit to having State of Texas Vision is the $200 allowance that you'll get to go towards eyeglass frames or contact lenses. And that $200 is going to be for each person that's enrolled in vision. You get $200 allowance per year. We also have providers in all 50 states. And again, if you go to in-network providers, that's going to save you money. Now, for more information, you can go to page 26 of your NEBG. Now, we also have optional life insurance, which I'll let Brene talk about.
Yes. Looking at the life insurance options, you can either choose the option for you or do the one that's for your dependents. As we did discuss earlier, you do have that basic term life insurance policy that's included with your health insurance that is at no additional cost to you. Now, this gives you that opportunity to elect additional life insurance. The optional term life insurance is for members only, not for any dependents. And the amount that you pay is really going to be based on your age. It's going to be based on your salary and also the level of coverage that you are choosing. So currently how it's determined, it's based upon your annual salary. You can either choose to get 1 time, 2 times, 3 times, or 4 times your annual salary. And that's based on your salary as of September the 1st. Now, for some of the elections, you must complete what's called evidence of insurability, or EOI. As Jorge said, we like acronyms here. And that's just an application process through which you have to provide medical information for yourself if you're doing the optional life insurance. And then if you are electing any dependents outside of that first 30 days, then they would have to complete that process as well. Now, during your first 30 days of employment, you can enroll in the election one or two of that optional term life insurance without any type of evidence of insurability. If you are choosing to go to like elections three times or four times your annual salary, EOI is always going to be required, regardless on if you're doing it within your first 30 days of employment or with like a qualifying life event or summer enrollment that Jennifer talked about earlier. Okay. Now you can initiate that process online, or you can receive the information through either email or mail. But just know that if you are electing three times or four times your salary, then you would have to go through that EOI process at any time. Now, I know one of the main questions that we do get a lot is, would you suggest that we do like two times and then elect it three times or four times? Yes. So I used to work in the contact center before I came over to the communication side. So one of the things that I would do to help individuals when they were a new employee is I would help them do election two, put that into the system so that in the event that that evidence of insurability wasn't approved for any reason, they for three times or four times that they would at least have two times their annual salary. So that's what I always suggest that you do. And then if you are choosing to have a dependent covered under the term life insurance, you can choose to have that. That covers however many dependents you want to have on there, whether it's one dependent or 10. You have that opportunity to have them onto this benefit. You pay one set premium no matter how many dependents you have covered, and each dependent is covered for $5,000. Now, both of these plans do have what's called double indemnity. So that means that the coverage does double if that death is ruled accidental. So for that optional term life insurance, it won't pay more than a $400,000 policy, and then for the dependent term life insurance, the maximum that that would pay out would be $10,000. Okay, again, these benefits are available if you're choosing them now within your first 30 days of hire without any type of evidence of insurability for elections one or two, and then the dependent term life insurance as well. If you are choosing to enroll into these benefits outside of your 30-day window or during summer enrollment, potentially but the qualifying life event, you would have to do that evidence of insurability. Now, the next benefit that we're going to touch on is what's called voluntary accidental death or dismemberment, or AD&D. That's what I said. We love our acronyms. If you do enroll into this benefit within your first 30 days of employment, you can either choose to elect it for you only, or you can also do it for you plus family. Now, with this benefit, it only pays out in the event of an accidental injury or death. So you can either do it for $10,000 worth of coverage up to $200,000 in $5,000 increments. And depending on the level of coverage that you choose, will depend on the amount that would be elected and paid out. Because this only pays due to an accidental death, there is no double indemnity. And then you also don't have to do that evidence of insurability. If you are wanting more information about the plan, please review pages 28 of that new employee benefit guide. Now, I know when I was working in the contact center, I used to get, or the benefits counseling center, I used to get the question a lot, like, what do I do in the event that like something happens? I don't ever foresee that I may get sick, but you never know. So I used to always tell people to think about enrolling in the disability insurance. You never know what's going to happen. And this kind of helps you receive some type of payment if you are out for any particular reason. Now, with that, you have two different options available to you. You have the short term disability benefit and then also the long term disability. With your short term disability, there is a 14-day waiting period. And then this policy also covers up to 66% of your monthly salary, and the benefit can be paid for up to 166 days. Now, if you choose to go with the long term disability benefit, There is a 180-day waiting period, and it does cover up to 60% of your monthly salary. And just depending on how old you are at the time of the disability, will depend on how long that benefit is paid. So it ranges from 12 months up to full Social Security age. Now, one thing to note is that with both the short term and long term disability benefits, they do tie into your sick leave. So not only does that account for your sick leave that you gain on a monthly basis, but that also includes any extended sick leave, any sick leave pool, and or any donated sick leave. So either you have to exhaust your waiting period or exhaust all of your sick leave, whichever is longer out of the two, before that benefit will be paid out. Now, depending on the level of coverage that you get, will depend on the cost of the policy. So for everyone, it's different. So your coworker may be saying, "Oh, mine's is this much," and you're like, "Well, mine's isn't that much." Well, that's because it changes for everyone. It's not going to be the same for every individual, and this policy only covers you as the member. It does not cover any dependents. Now, as long as you enroll into that benefit within your first 30 days of employment, you won't have to do any type of evidence of insurability. But if it's with a qualifying life event or during your summer enrollment, then EOY is going to be required. Now, with this policy, pre existing conditions are subject to certain exclusions. There is a 6 month pre existing clause. So, if you've gone to the doctor or you're receiving treatment for a medical condition during the 3 month period prior to the date of coverage, disability benefits for that specific condition will not be covered for the first 6 months of enrollment. Now, we do want to point out that Senate Bill 222 provides 40 paid days of leave to some state agency employees who are new parents. Those paid days for parental leave are based on your work schedule. So, agency employees who are thinking about becoming parents should carefully review that Senate bill and then also review FMLA policies and then also review the TIP short term disability coverage. If you are potentially thinking about getting pregnant or you are pregnant, congratulations. Um, if you do have any additional questions about the paid parental leave, we do, or FMLA, we do ask that you speak to your human resource department because ERS has no information regarding that. To get more information about the short term and long term disability benefits, please review pages 28 and 29 of that new employee benefits guide. Okay, I know that we're talking about evidence of insurability. So I will let my coworker, Jorge, go into, or Jennifer, go into that a little bit more.
Yeah, thanks, Renee. You mentioned this, but I just want to repeat it because I think it's so important for people to know. Within the first 30 days of your new employment, you have an opportunity to enroll in some things without having to complete the evidence of insurability. So I just want to remind everybody what those are. So that's going to be your short and long-term disability, what Renee just talked about. It's going to be your dependent term life and elections 1 and 2 of your optional term life. So that now is the time, if you're within your 30 days, to sign up for those without having to complete the evidence of insurability. If you are signing up for elections 3 or 4 or during summer enrollment or after a QLE, you will need to go into your ERS online account, initiate that EOY process. Now, if you have questions about the EOY process, this is who you want to contact. This is the contact information for you. So for your optional term life and dependent term life, you're going to contact Securian, that's our program administrator. And for our short and long-term disability, you'll want to contact Read Group. So that is the contact information there on the page. Okay, let's talk about TexFlex. TexFlex is a flexible spending account program where you can set aside pre-tax money from your paycheck and help you pay for eligible healthcare or dependent care expenses. So we have 3 different kinds of accounts here. So that contribution will be automatically withdrawn from your paycheck and deposited into your account each month. So the three different types of FSAs, flexible spending accounts, that we have are the healthcare FSA, limited purpose FSA, and dependent care FSA. The maximum contributions that you can contribute are set by the IRS. So let's talk about the different kinds of accounts. The healthcare and limited purpose are very similar. Limited purpose FSA is going to be for those that are on the consumer directed health select. Jorge talked about that. That's the one that you have the HSA account. So some people ask, can I have both an HSA and an FSA? And the answer is yes, but you'll have the limited purpose. It's going to be for only your dental and vision expenses. For everyone else, most people are on Health Select of Texas. For your healthcare expenses, you're going to use the healthcare FSA. So both of these, the rest of the information, they work the same, but it's just who can have each one. So you can pick an amount from $180 up to $3,300 to contribute. That amount is going to be divided by how many ever paychecks you have. Most people are paid monthly if you work for the state. And then that will be that whole amount is available to you September 1st. So if you're choosing that during summer enrollment, you have the full amount available to you September 1st, and then each month that contribution will be deducted from your paycheck and put into that account. With these two accounts, you're going to get a debit card that you can use for your purchases. Now there's a whole list. There's so many different things that are considered eligible expenses by the IRS. But you can use that at the pharmacy when you go pick up your prescriptions. You can use it at the doctor's office when you pay your copay. There's so many different types of expenses you can use it for. It makes it very convenient. Now, one thing to know is that there's a carryover maximum. So you don't want to contribute too much where you have too much left over in that account. You can only carry over $660 into the new plan year. So the plan year starts September 1st of each year through August 31st of the next year. Now we have one other kind of account. It's called the Dependent Care FSA. It works differently. There's not a debit card, but this is for eligible dependent care expenses while you're at work. So if you have a child that's in daycare, if they're under the age of 13, or an adult dependent that has daycare dependent care expenses, you can contribute $180 up to $5,000 annually per household into the account. And this works more like a reimbursement. So you would pay for the services, submit your receipt, and get reimbursement. Now I've used all of these for many years, and there's an app that you can use. It's very easy to use. Now, the IRS does require that our administrator verify that all expenses are considered eligible. So you may be asked to submit a receipt to verify a claim or to show that it was an eligible expense. You can do that through the TexFlex website or on the app. You can also submit a claim form by fax or mail. For the dependent care, there's not a carryover limit, but you do have a 2.5-month grace period. Now, for more information about TexFlex, you can go to pages 30 and 31 of your NEVG. Okay, so your insurance, that's all very important. It's a valuable part of your compensation, but we also have retirement. So Jorge is going to tell us more about the ERS retirement.
Thanks, Jennifer. Yes. Okay. So retirement. This will be a good overview. Now, I don't know where you're at in your career. Maybe you're fresh to state employment. And I only say this because I know I thought about this when I first joined was, oh, I'm not going to be able to retire until so many years later. Why do I even care? The more I've learned about benefits, and like I shared earlier, I learned that there was so much I was missing out on, or that I could better prepare my future. So it's never too early to start learning about retirement, especially when that means that you're thinking about your future. So I invite you after this, and we'll touch on the resources, but we do retirement presentations where we go way more in depth. And again, just join us here and there and get to hear our voices again. Or maybe you'll get to meet us in person and present this to you then. But retirement is really fascinating because you might find out some things that you didn't even think mattered, such as your age or when you can retire. But let's look at that a little bit. But before I dissect retirement more, let's go over who is even eligible for this ERS retirement plan. So as we went over in the beginning and throughout, ERS manages the benefits for not only state agency employees, but a good amount of higher education institutions. So, previous or current state of Texas employees working for an agency that participates in the ERS retirement plan is eligible to receive those ERS retiree benefits. Now, if you're a state of Texas employee working for a higher education institution that participates in that GBP or group benefits program, but not in the ERS retirement plan, you would only be considered GBP only. So not eligible for the ERS retirement plan. And so we would suggest that you reach out to the retirement system that you're contributing to. So for those GBP only participating agencies, as we've gone over, ERS, we manage those benefits like the health, dental, life, vision, disability, those FSAs that Jennifer just went over. Now, we or ERS does not manage the retirement contributions or that eligibility or annuity or pension, as many know it as well. Retirement benefits for these employees are managed by different state of Texas retirement plans. So if you are that higher education institution, you might know that Teacher Retirement System of Texas or TRS. So go ahead and reach out to them. Now, this would include employees of higher education institutions except the University of Texas and Texas A&M University's Community Supervision and Corrections Department or CSCD, TRS employees, Texas Municipal Retirement System or TMRS, Texas County and District Retirement System, TCDRS, and the Wyndham School District. So that's some homework for you. Definitely contact those systems for more information about contributions towards that account and eligibility. And before I go over to the next one, that's a common question I get when I've gone to go present or just give information or be helpful at an event at a higher education institution. It's like, wait, you don't manage my benefits? You don't manage my retirees? Referring to ERS. And that's a big difference. So this is where you're getting the benefits that ERS manages, but there's a different retirement system that actually handles your retirement. Now, that's why I invite you to join us at our retirement presentation, because we go over what if you do have that city or county time? What if you have worked for a state agency before, but now you're a higher education institution? So again, there's a lot to it. So definitely join us. But let's go more into that overview of the retirement if you are contributing towards ERS's retirement group. Retirement group. ERS has 4 retirement groups, and based on when you start state of employment, you get put into one of these. So all 4 groups have defined benefits or pension, retirement benefits. The way that we calculate that pension or annuity is different for each. When you're eligible for retirement also is different for each. Now, if you started after August 31st of 2022, which it may be that many people joining us or as our audience for this presentation is, you're part of group 4. So this is the latest group. Now, unless you worked for a state of Texas agency before and you did not withdraw those retirement funds at that time of separation, you would remain in the original group that you were in. So for example, you were part of group 1 and you left state employment, and that's when the ERS is like, hey, do you want to take your retirement account? If you leave it and decide to come back, you would join again that group 1. Again, those same annuity calculations, that retirement eligibility criteria. However, if you decided to take your funds and come back, and let's say because you said, I'm never coming back to state employment, but then you end up back here because you took those funds, you would be joining the latest retirement group. So now you would be part of group 4. And then depending on your needs and everything, because of those different rules and calculations, you might have thought, man, I should have just stayed in group 1 and left my account as is. Now, your retirement account will remain as long as you let it be. So we'll dissect that more and on the calculations. That way it's just an overview and let you know that age will matter, your months, your years of service, those sick leave, those annual leave hours will matter for your retirement. A lot of little things. And like I mentioned, if you have that city, county, any TRS time. So just know there's a lot more to it, and just invite you more to our retirement presentation. So the best sources for information on retirement, it's going to be our ERS website. Literally, that has everything. So when in doubt, just go in there, explore it, ers.texas.gov. Your ERS online account. So that's your personal portal to what you're contributing towards your future, what's getting taken out of your paycheck towards your retirement account. You'll see that there. You can do whole estimates on what retirement could look like for you at a certain date. And just many other things. Also, your benefits coordinator. Me and getting to know me more, that's who I work with primarily. So we give them so much information to really help you. So when in doubt, go to your HR department and someone there will definitely help you. Let's a little more on that pension or annuity. So this again only applies to participants in the state retirement plan. This plan pays eligible retirees a set monthly annuity that is calculated using a formula defined by state law. So as I mentioned, each of them have different rules and calculations, but it's not something that Jennifer, Brene, and I sat down and just made up, because trust me, you don't want us to do your math. So this is something that Texas legislator makes us follow. So it is subject to change at any point, right? Just with any benefits. But for every state agency employee, a percentage is deducted from your pre-tax earnings and it's deposited into this ERS retirement account each month. That's what I mentioned. When you go into your ERS online account, you can actually keep track of how that's growing, how it's doing. Now, this contribution cannot be changed or waived. And for now, groups 1 through 3, they contribute a 9.5% from their salary towards their retirement account. And if you're in that group 4, you're contributing 6% of your salary. But in addition, the state also contributes 10% of its overall payroll to all state employees' retirement. So again, it's part of that great package that we're getting. Just as much as we're working hard, the state's also valuing it and contributing towards our future. Now, contributions are deposited into their ERS retirement trust fund, and then which professionals invest for the long term to achieve reasonable returns. So just know on the back end, people are working hard. That way we keep these amazing benefits forever and ever and ever. And then again, a little more highlight to invite you more to one of our presentations, that if you are in group 4, if the funds are doing really, really, really good, there could be a thing where you actually can get a little gain share. So see a little more into your fund. So really, it's a great benefit working for the state. And then you become eligible to retire with a lifelong annuity. That's right, a lifelong annuity. So meaning it takes on an average like 3 to 5 years to go through all of your retirement funds. But does that mean you stop getting paid that annuity that you earned? No, the state will continue paying that. So that's just something that, of course, it's all set by Texas legislature, but that is something that's set. My dad, as a retiree, is really thankful for that paycheck and is able to help my mom that doesn't have a job. So again, the state's really looking out for us. Now, you cannot take out loans against your ERS retirement account. And if you leave state employment, you can request a refund of your retirement contributions, but not the state's contributions and any interest earned on the contributions. Be aware that funds paid out directly to you are taxed. And then depending on your age, remember, I kind of give you that insight earlier, you could have an additional penalty when you file your taxes the following year. If you withdraw your contributions, you do lose your service credit that helps you meet eligibility and such. So this means that you will not be eligible for the retirement benefit unless you start working at a state agency again and contribute to an ERS retirement account. So for more information about Group 4, those retirement benefits, look at page 32 of your new employee benefits guide, and then you can find specific information about retirement benefits and eligibility for all groups at ers.texas.gov. But more on service credit, I'll hand it off to talk about purchasing service credit.
All right, thank you, Jorge. So yes, this slide, just like the last one, only applies to those employees who did participate in the ERS retirement plan. So a member of any group can purchase withdrawn service credit. So if you are in group 4, you can apply. So this means that you don't have to purchase anything, withdrawn service credit to reach that retirement eligibility sooner. You can also purchase withdrawn service credit to increase your annuity, but you must do so within 24 months of your hire date. If you are in groups 1, 2, or 3, you can purchase that withdrawn service to reach retirement eligibility and increase that annuity plan at any time. You don't have to do so just within that 24 months of hire. Now, for individuals in groups 1, 2, and 3, you also have additional service that you can purchase that could potentially increase the amount of your annuity and potentially help you retire sooner. So, you do have military service. If you ever did serve active duty military, you can purchase that time up to 5 years. You also have a waiting period service that you can potentially purchase just depending on your hire. And then last, once all other service has been purchased that you have available, finally, it's going to be that additional service credit where you have to be actively working and have at least 10 years in ERS's system, not including any purchased military time or any unused leave. Now, in most of the cases, the earlier that you do purchase the service, the lesser it will cost you. So, if you are interested in purchasing the service or even wanting to know more about the service, you do have several resources available to you. You can view the ERS website, or you can also reach out to ERS to get an estimate of how much it's going to cost you. And even if we provide the cost to you, by no means are you obligated to purchase it. Right? So you do have that opportunity to request the cost at any time. Just important to know that that service must be purchased before your planned retirement date. Now, getting into another thing that can help boost your retirement savings is going to be that Texas Saver 401k or 457 program. This is a voluntary retirement savings program that is administered by Empower. Now, most financial advisors say you'll need about 80% of your pre retirement income to comfortably maintain your lifestyle at retirement. So that means that your ERS annuity may not be enough alone for you to have a stable income in retirement. So when you're thinking about your retirement, we want you to think about a three-legged stool. One leg of that stool is going to be your ERS annuity. The second leg is going to be that Social Security benefit. And the third leg is going to be your personal savings or your retirement account, like a 401k or 457. So all three of those legs together help you have a comfortable lifestyle and retirement. Now, because it is so important to save for retirement, new state agency employees are automatically enrolled in the Texas Saver 401k plan, and that is at a 1% of your salary that is set aside in the pre-tax account. Now, with this plan, unlike with the retirement, you can increase it, decrease it, or stop that contribution at any time. We hope that you never do that, however, but you do have that option of making changes to your 401k at any time. And then you can also change how your investments are made. So that's one of the great benefits of having that Texas Saver. Now, if you do have like an outside pre-tax account, say you worked for somewhere previously, maybe the federal government, or you were a teacher and you're coming over and you were making contributions into that retirement, you do have the option of transferring your money from those qualified retirement accounts into Texas Saver so that you have one individual maintaining that money for you. Now, we do know that there are some higher education institutions that don't participate in the 457, so you would just have to check with your human resource department to see if you are participating in that. On your screen, you will see a QR code. That QR code does take you um, to the Texas Saver website where you have access to schedule a no cost appointment with the retirement plan advisors. They are located all throughout Texas. So schedule a meeting with them. That's one of the things that I do advise everyone when I do go out. If Texas Saver is not there to help me present on retirement, I do speak highly of the Texas Saver benefit. I've learned so much when I started working for the state. I didn't know anything about 401ks, about pensions, about anything. Working for the state, just like Jorge said, you get a lot of great benefits and you learn a lot of information. So take advantage of that because it's at no cost to you. They work for you. They are essentially you are their employer. So reach out to them. You can find more information about Texas Saver and the contributions on page 35 of that NEBG. And I'll throw it over to Jennifer so that she can go over designating your beneficiaries.
Thanks, Brene. So I mentioned before that you can designate your beneficiaries at any time throughout the year. It's very important for you to do that for your ERS retirement account. You'll do that after you've made your first contribution if you're a state agency employee. If you have that life insurance, you'll do that once your coverage is effective. You can do that through the ERS online account. And if you have a Texas Saver account, once you have started contributing, you'll go to texassaver.com and download the form that they have and return that to Empower. That's our what we call a record keeper for our Texas Saver account. So you can do this throughout the year. It's very important to make sure you've updated your, keep your beneficiaries up to date. If you look on your ERS online account, at any point and you see form pending, that's not completed. So just make sure to go through that again, get that form, fill it out, and send it in to either us at ERS or Texas Saver Empower so we can get those updated. Okay, something else that we want to make sure that you know about is our discount purchase program. This is something where you can go online, you can buy products and services such as computers, appliances, vacation packages. There's so many different things on there that you can have access to all these deals. So you would go to discountprogramtxers.com and create a login and password. There's no enrollment period or membership fee. You can do this at any time of the year. You just set up that registration. You'll get a confirmation email to complete that registration, and you have access to those deals. So I know Jorge, Brene, and I have all used it and saved money on that. That's something that you have access to throughout the year. So make sure to go to discountprogramtxers.com. Okay, so I know we've covered a lot of information. We want you to know that there's lots of resources that are available to you. If you have questions and you work for an HHS agency, you're going to contact the HHS Employee Service Center at 888-894-4747. That's going to be for Health and Human Services employees of DFPS, DSHS, HHSD, Cancer Prevention and Research Institute of Texas. I think all state agencies have a lot of acronyms. It's just a nice thing that we do. Okay, you can also log into your ERS online account. We've talked about that a lot. You can enroll yourself and your dependents in coverage and designate those beneficiaries. You can go, our website is ers.texas.gov. You can contact us, our benefits counselors. That's what Brene was talking about, the contact center, the counseling center. That's what she used to do. When you call in, you're going to talk to one of those amazing benefits or retirement counselors. They're available at 877-275-4377, and they're available Monday through Friday, 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. Central. We also have a lot of different things on our website. We have a Facebook page. We have a YouTube channel that you're probably listening to this video on. We're going to post it there. If you have other questions, a really good resource is going to be your HR department, your benefits coordinator. That's usually someone in your HR department. Also, we mentioned it, but that new employee benefits guide is going to have a lot of good resources. If you have questions about where to find a doctor, about specific coverage, you're going to want to call our plan administrators. So ERS, if you want to know about signing up or premiums, how much you're going to pay, you'll call ERS. But for more specific questions, our different program administrators are there for you to contact directly, and their contact information is in that new employees benefits guide. So I know that was a lot of information. We want to thank you for joining, Brene and Jorge. Amazing job, as always. Y'all are great. I work with some of the best. So thank y'all for joining, and everyone have a good day.
Yes, thank you so
Thank you
much.
all.